Okay, we'll be looking at conditionals now. Okay, now conditionals are very simple. We have if else, also called as elif, okay, as well as else. Okay, pretty much that's it. And then we have ternary operator. This is what we were talking about previously, and that's it. Okay, so conditionals means you want to execute certain code basis on a condition. Okay, that is when you use conditions. And in Python we have if, elif, else. Okay, let's just say in order to demonstrate this, um, so what I can show is we can write a simple code. Let's just say you want to accept a number. Okay, that you can accept using input method. Okay, and I will say enter an integer. And now after accepting the number, I will just type number. I'll just type 45, some number. Okay, randomly, there is no reason. You see what is happening is this number is accepted as string. So I will do one thing, I will modify this with slight change. I will make it as a integer. I will convert it to integer by passing this int value. And now if I execute, I will take the number as number. Now I have integer number, okay, inside this number. Now for this number I want to check if it is a even or odd number. Okay, how do I do that is by writing these conditions. So I will write if, that is if certain condition, then execute, then print or some statements. Basically that's the syntax. Okay, now I will directly show you rather than type those. So if number mod 2 equal to 0, what we are checking is if this number, whatever the number you are passing, is giving you the remainder value, mod value, as 0. If it becomes 0 here, then it is in even number. That's what it means. Okay, so I will say print even. Okay, that's it. So if I execute, I have taken the number and passed modified. Okay, and I'm printing it as even. But because the number accepted is 45, it is not meeting this condition, hence it is not printing the even. So in such case you can use else to meet the second condition. Else, for the second condition you don't have to define anything. In all other cases, else means in all other cases you just print odd. If you execute, this number is odd number. Now if I execute, re-execute this and type as 50, and here if I execute this part, I'll get even. So basically if condition, okay, if alongside the condition, else alongside the condition, here no condition is required, but either way, so alongside the condition can be used to check, to execute basis on certain requirement. Okay, that requirement is a condition here. Okay, if only and only if the mod is 0, you can execute this statement, print statement. Okay, otherwise else part you can execute this. So that's what I mean. If else, there is nothing much, no confusing things here. You can, everything is straightforward. Okay, we'll see another example. If same thing, if number is uh, divisible by 2 and you get the remainder as Swapnil, can you pause? Can you mute yourself?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if the number is divisible by, if the remainder you get is 0 when divided by 2, print divisible by 2. Okay. Now, in order to add additional condition, I can make use of elif. Elif means else if. That's what it means. Number mod 3 equals to 0. Print divisible by 3. Okay. Else you print not divisible by 2 or 3. Okay. See, this number that we have taken is divisible by 2, hence you are getting this. But if I type the number here only, let's just say my number is equals to 75. This number is divisible by 3. If I want to check 102 divisible by 2, 2 as well as 3, but first it is checking this condition. Okay. And let's just say the 104 again divisible by 2. Let's just say 0. 0 is also divisible by 2. Okay. Let's just say minus 1. Not divisible by either 2 or 3. Okay. So that's how you can use multiple conditions with if, elif, else.
Uh, Sadiq,
Yeah.
what is the meaning of if number percentage 2 equal to 0? Uh,
So number I have accepted using input method. Okay. I have accepted the
hmm.
number as 50. 50 percentage means mod symbol. Mod means remainder. This we saw previously. This is mod. This is division or floor division. Okay. Either it is a slash or it is a double slash. This value. But this value is remainder. So in order to check if certain number is divisible by 2, either you will get the remainder as 1 or you will get the remainder as 0 if any number is divided by 2. Correct? If you divide 3 by 2, what will you get? You will get remainder as 1.
1, right.
Right? If you divide 4 with 2, the remainder will be 0.
Okay,
Right?
right.
So what we are checking is if the remainder is 0, you print that number as even, otherwise you print it as else. Print it as odd. So in this case 50 is divisible by 2, hence you will get even.
Okay, okay,
The
okay.
same example only, but I'm checking with divisible by 2 and divisible by 3. Mod means remainder value. It will return the remainder value. This is what we saw in arithmetic operators above. When I taught arithmetic operators, that's what we saw. No? Mod means it will give you remainder. So if the remainder when divided by 3 is 0, then you say divisible by 3. Otherwise, divisible by 2 or else not divisible by 2 or 3. So in this case, I have passed the number as minus 1. So it's not divisible by anything. If I pass the number as 2, it is divisible by 2. If they pass the number as 3, divisible by 3. Pass
Okay,
the number
okay.
as 5, it's not divisible by either 2 or 3. Okay, that way.
Okay,
So
okay.
don't worry about the logic itself, just worry about how you are using if, elif, else. Okay, if, elif, else are used to meet certain conditions.
Right.
Okay, so that's all there is. I mean, there is nothing much. Um, you can write many examples, so irrespective of how many examples I'll write, this is what the flow is. Now, the next thing is you can have multiple conditions one another in one under the other. So, for example, first I'll check if the number is divisible by 2. Okay, if the number is divisible by 2 and if the number is also divisible by 3, okay, then I will print divisible by both 2 and 3. Else I'll print not divisible, something like that. So this way, don't worry about the logic what I'm writing. Just notice how if and else are being used. Okay. So you can have two if conditions one another under one another. So if I pass the value as here number value as 6, see what happens. 6 is divisible by both 2 and 3. So it will print both divisible by both 2 and 3. So first it will check this condition. If this condition is met, only then this condition will be checked, because this second if is under first if, right? Only if this condition is met, the second if will be checked. If I pass the value as 5, it will directly go to else. First it will check this condition. Because this condition is not met, it will directly go to else part. It will not even go inside this first second if. Okay. So this is how you can use nested if statements. These are called as nested if. One if inside the other. Likewise, you can also check if certain thing is, if you want to add additional condition, elif, okay, number is also divisible by 5. Okay, then what you can print is divisible by, now what will it divide by? It will divide by, it is divisible by 2 and 5, not 3. Why? Because when you add if and elif, only one of these condition will be met. If this condition is met, this won't be executed. If this condition, first condition is not met, this condition will be executed. So these two are kind of parallel conditions, you can say. Either if this works, sorry, sequential, not parallel, sequential. So sequential condition. So if this is executed, this will not be executed. Okay. So if this fails, only then this will come into picture. That's why if a number is both divisible by 2 as well as 3, this won't even be checked. This condition won't even be checked. Okay. So it will be, you will see it is divisible by only 2 and 3. Okay. But if this condition is met, this is not met, then this condition will be met. For example, very simple example is, let's just say you pass 6. See what it is doing. For 6 it is checking whether it is divisible by 2. If yes, it will check if it is divisible by 3. If yes, it will print this. It won't even go to this. Both of these are not even checked. But if I pass the value as 10, see what happened. This condition is anyway checked. Okay. But this condition failed. Because this condition failed, it went to the second part. So it printed divisible by 2 and 5. Now let's take another example. 11. The first condition itself failed. So anything under that first condition is not executed. Only the else part is executed. Directly it went to not divisible. Alright. So is this understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Very simple concept. Okay. The next thing is, um, if this part is understood, okay, next we will move on to loops. Okay, there is nothing much on if else. Okay, you just have multiple ifs under if, multiple if elif under if, or you will have multiple if elif else, that way. So you can have multiple elifs also. Here also you can check the same thing. You can check if you want to add additional condition, you can add something like this. If number is divisible by 5 or 7, this time I will use 7, divisible by 7. So now what will happen is, first either this will be checked. If this is met, if first condition is met, nothing will be checked. If this condition is not met, second condition will be checked. If second condition is met, anything below it is not checked, Then if second condition is not met, third condition will be checked. If third condition meets, then nothing else will be checked. If third condition does not meet, only last condition will be checked. That you can confirm by passing 1. Okay, so here is giving wrong results. Don't worry about the results, but just check. 2 divisible by 2. Okay, 3 divisible by 3. And then if you check 7 divisible by 7. Okay, uh, if you pass 1, not divisible by anything, not divisible, as I'll mention, not divisible. Okay, not divisible, that way. So only one condition at a time will be checked. Only if that condition fails, the next condition will be checked. So that you remember in FL, if elif. Okay, that's all there is for conditionals. There is nothing extra there. Okay, if this is understood, then we can move on to loops. Are you good to move on to loops?
Yes, yes. Get it
Yes,
now.
sir.
Okay, all right. In loops we have while loop and for loop, and then there is a small variation of while called while else loop, and small variation of for called for else loop. And then we have nested loops also, while under while. Okay, I will write like this instead to make it understand. While under while. Okay, and then you have for under for. This I will write like this. While else. And then we have for else. While is separate condition, for is separate condition, then you have while else, then you have for else, then you have while, for under for, and then you also have for under while. Okay, and then for under, sorry, while under for. Okay, so these are the different variations of the conditions you have, but ultimately all these conditions are using while, for, and else. Okay, that's what you have to remember. You can write it anyway. You can write while under for under for. So that way, whatever you want, you can write. If your use case requires that, you can write that way. Okay. Um, so for now, I will just mention this much. We will see what the notes has. So in loop, again, loop syntax is very similar. For while you have an expression and then statement. Okay, expression means condition. Okay, expression means condition. I will write it here. So you have this condition, and according to that condition you execute. Okay, for while else also you have condition. For based on the condition you execute the statements. Now irrespective of what happens inside this loop, either it gets executed or it doesn't get executed, else will be executed. Irrespective of what happens in while, else will be executed. Okay, only if there is any syntax error or anything like that, else may not execute. It may stop even before that. But otherwise, whether the result of while condition comes out as true or false or whatever it is, else will be executed. The same thing applies for for. Okay, for loop also, whatever happens inside the for loop, whether it executes, whether you get true or false, while else will be executed mandatorily. That you must remember. Okay, else will always be executed. So for value means for you needs a sequence data type, your collection data type, which I will show you. Okay, and then okay, this is different. Loop control statements is different. That's all there is for loops. Now let's look at examples. Okay, now for loops, very simple loop. Let's try with for loop. Let's start with for loop. Okay, for letter in good morning. Okay, I'm just going to type letter, print letter. Okay, you see what happens. So the iterator is at G now. When it executes G, when the pointer is at G, it will execute the print statement. So G will be printed. Then the iterator will move to the O, then print will be executed. Then the pointer will go to another O. The same process repeats up until it reaches the end part. After it reaches the end part, there is no error printed, but instead it will automatically stop. This is for while loop. Okay, so sorry, for loop, my bad. So for loop will reach end of sequence and stop. Okay, um, so pretty much. Okay, another example we will see a slight variation of the same example. Print letter. Okay, I will say else print goodbye. Okay, see what happened. So first it executed the for loop, and then else part was mandatorily executed. Okay, that you have to remember. So this I will write here. Else condition will always be executed irrespective of what happens in for or while loop. Okay, now the third variation of the same thing is I will add another for loop inside a for loop for each in letter. Okay, print each plus, see what happened. So what I'm essentially saying is, okay, this I might need a little bit of um, one second. There was some setting. Okay, anyway, fine. Um, there was some setting where you could make this eraser bigger automatically, and it would erase much larger portion. Anyway, fine. I will check that later. Okay. Now, okay. So here, let's just say it is pointing at, okay, good morning. Okay, the pointer is at here. First pointer is letter pointer is here. Letter pointer will, when the letter pointer is here, there is another pointer pointing here called each, and this each will point where letter is pointing. That's what the second loop is. When you say for each in letter, okay, so whatever you pass here should be passed here. That you have to remember. Whatever you pass as a variable iterator here, that iterator is on top of that iterator you have to add another iterator. Okay, so each will point where letter is pointing. So what we are doing here is we are printing each along with underscore. So because each is pointing at G, you are printing G underscore, and then because you already printed, letter will move, first letter will move to this position. Now letter is at this position. Because letter moved there, each will also move there. So letter basically each basically moves where letter moves. So now what will happen is each is pointing to G, sorry, O, right, after G, O. Now it will add, print statement will add underscore to that O. Okay, that way letter will keep on incrementing till it reaches the end, and each will be following that letter till it reaches the end, till it has nothing else to print, then it will stop. Okay, that is what is happening in two loops. Okay, so each is pointing to that letter, and letter is pointing to that entire good morning. And each time letter is pointing to the letter, whatever the letter value has, each will have it, and it will add a underscore to it. That's how you get this result. After this entire part is executed, else part goodbye is printed. Is this clear? If this is clear, um, we can look at something else. Okay, a slight variation of this example where you will get better understanding. So for I in range of, let's just say 0 to 6, because you have to specify n plus 1th value to get n value, right? So that's why 6 in order to get 5. For j in I, this is what I was saying, for j in I, okay, or range of I. So either way it's fine, range of I, okay, print I along with a space I plus, I will add a space, then I will add print additional space. Okay, now see what happened. Okay, unsupported operand, so it's not supporting, but okay, no worries, I know how to get around this. I will say end equals to this. Okay, now see what happened. I made this range. First of all, what is range? Range of 0 comma 6 means it's a range object. Okay, but if you add a list over it, you can see you have 0 to 0 till 5 in range. Okay, now what we are doing is you have 0 comma 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 in the list. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm pointing this I to this range object, list object that you see, and I'm saying okay, j also has to point at range of I. Okay, now what is in the range of I? Range of I has 6 elements, correct? 1 2 3 4 5 6, 6 elements are there. Now j is also pointing to 6 elements, but the difference is j is taking the value literally. Okay, anyway, j is also pointing here. Okay, then we are saying print I, whatever the value of I is there, you print that. So I value is 0, it will try to print 0, but on a condition that j also has those many elements. J is pointing to 0, so j has 0 elements. Now when j has 0 elements, I cannot print anything, so it will move to the next iterator. Okay, now I has 1. Now j is taking the value from I. Okay, let me make a slight modification to give you better understanding. Okay, okay, let's just say, see, j is pointing to I. Okay, I has value of this entire range of list, and j has the value of I. J is not directly pointing to that range. Okay, j is pointing to I. Whatever the value that I takes from that range, so many times j will execute. So if it had let's just say I got the value as 5, so j will execute 5 times. Okay, because it's taking the value, not the entire list. So if it had value of 10, 10 times j will execute. If it had the value of 100, it will execute 100 times, that way. Okay, so here, so j is pointing, because j is pointing to I and I is pointing to the list, I value became, I is pointing to 0 value. Now because j is taking value from I, j has 0, that means 0 times it will print. That's why 0 is not print. Basically 0, if you see, there is a space here. See, there is a space here. 0 is printed 0 times, then the increment happens. I value points to 1, j value points, j takes the value from I, so 1 is printed 1 times. Okay, then end means we are adding extra space, that's what the space is. Okay, and 2 will print 2 times, 3 will print 3 times, 4 print, that way it will reach end and it will stop. Is this clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. So if this is clear, then we can try one more thing. Okay, this is extra space if you want. um, okay, anyway, fine, it's fine. Okay, this is how you can add for loop inside for loop. If this is clear, we can move on to while loop. Now for else also we saw. Okay, now while loop is very very easy as well as dangerous. While loop is dangerous. Okay, why? Because the way how while loop works is, while condition, okay, it executes the statements. This is how generally it works, but that condition should have an initial value, should have initial value. This is must and should. Okay, this is a mandatory point. Without this, um, what will happen is, if this condition does not have initial value, this condition will remain true all the time, and this statement will be continue to executed indefinitely. That means until your RAM memory gets out of hand, it spills over, it will be executed. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, this I showed in the daily batch. What happened was, see this file size that you see here, 42 KB. I let that while loop run for just for like 15 seconds or something. This size increased to 60 MB. Okay, so it has looped so many times inside and increased the value of that integers. So each time it incremented, it added the value, it printed the value of integer, thereby increasing the size to 60 MB. And the second day, next day, that file was not even opening. So I had to open that file in Visual Code and delete that cell. Okay, so if I had not stopped that loop, it would have run until that memory would have exceeded some GBs, like 14 GB, whatever my RAM is. My RAM is 16 GB. Up until like 14 15 GB it will run and it will crash. Okay, so that way. So be careful while you use this while condition. I will show you one example. While I will add the condition as, while I is less than x, print I less than x. Okay, very simple thing. Now I'll have to define what is that I equals to 0. Okay, and x equals to 5. If I define this, what is happening? See what is happening here? It's going indefinitely. It's not stopping. I'll have to manually stop. Now, now why is that happening? 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay. So the thing is, it didn't save. Luckily, it didn't save. Otherwise, it would have caused the trouble. This file would not have opened. But that's what I was saying. So your initial conditions, you should write loop in such a way that you should have a initial condition. For example, when you want to check, for example, the same condition I'll modify. I equals to 0. Okay. Now I will type while that I is less than certain number, I will type less than 3. Okay, and now I can print print that I. This will go to infinite loop. I'll tell you why. Actually, this is what we did. Okay, we defined x here. X is equal to 3, and if I type I is equal to I less than x, I have um, printed I less than x. Now this will go to infinite loop. Why? Because, okay, see what is happening. We are checking is I less than 3, which is true. Now this while loop became true. Hence it started printing. Now 0 is less than 3 is always it's less than 3. Okay. 0 will always be less than 3. Hence it will always be printing. It won't stop unless you modify the value of I. So here that is where I will say now I is equal to I plus 1. If you don't modify your initial value, it will go to infinite loop. Now what will happen is, see, 3 times it printed because it started at 0, it executed, it checked the condition was met as true, then it incremented, it checked, that way this value became 2, again 2 is less than 3, again it printed, again it checked, 3 is not less than 3, so it stopped. So it started from 0, 1, 2, 3 different values it checked and it printed. But if I don't add this condition, if I don't modify this initial value itself, what will happen? I will always be less than x, right? 0 will always be less than 3. That's why it will continuously print. It will go into indefinite loop. So two things you have to remember here. One, you have to initialize this I. You have to have an initial value. Okay, that is what I have mentioned here. And modify the initial value. If you don't modify this initial value, it will go to infinite loop. Whatever the operation you are doing here, it will take forever to execute. So you have to be very careful while you use while loops. Is this understood?
Yes, Sadir.
Okay. Now I
Yes.
will I will use the same loop. I will say else print x. Okay, or print, I will just say some string. Now what happened? Even though while loop was executed, else part was mandatorily executed in the end. Okay, so that you remember. This applies for both for loop as well as while loops. Okay, so this thing you remember while writing while loop, you have to be careful. Anyway,
Sadik, one
yeah,
doubt.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
please. Mhm.
Now you're giving print and you're giving quotes and I less than x.
Mhm.
So like a string you're writing.
Mhm.
So we can't write directly I less than x, print I less than x instead of quotes.
Sure, that also can be written. I mean, I've written only for the sake of showing it. I mean, you can write anything basically. So if you write I less than x, it will check whether that condition is true, still true or not. So 3 times it was true. Here you can type, again you can type I less than x. Now this time it will become false. Fourth time it became false because by the end of this loop 3 was equal to 3. Now 3 is not less than 3, hence it became false. Okay, or if you want to print only the values, how it is changing is, you remember the f strings I taught, you have to make it a f string. So if you make this as f string, okay, and make this as equal, see what happened. It started printing the values. First the value of I was 0 and the x value was 3. So it executed. Second time I value was 1, I x value was 3, executed. Again likewise third time also it executed. And same thing you can do here also. F, you have to just convert it to a f string, which we said, we talked about in the last class. I'm not sure if you recall or not.
Yeah, format you were talking.
Yeah, format. Now the third time 3 is equal to 3. 3 is not less than 3. That's why it failed here. It executed the else part. Okay. So this way also you can execute. I mean, the what you want to print, that is different, but just understand the logic part, how the flow is for while loops. Okay, so this we have seen. And now one more thing we have to see is, inside for loops you can add conditions. For example, for letter in Python class, okay, so you can add certain conditions. Okay, okay, let me not talk about conditions. I will talk about at least just ask any doubts if you have up until this point.
Sadiq,
Yeah,
can you please explain once more for loop?
for loop.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So for loop means for loop will be executed until you reach the end of this iterable. Sorry.
Okay.
For example, let's just say you have for number in, this time I will use a different iterable. You can use list also. Okay, 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. For then I will say something like print number plus 2, number plus 10, or maybe multiply by 10, that is better. Multiply by 10. See what happened? What is happening is number is pointing at this first uh, element of the list, and as long as it is not the end of the list, it will continue to execute whatever you pass. So it has
Yeah, right.
multiplied all these numbers. So for
All
loop,
these numbers.
yeah, for loop is used when you want to iterate over a sequence. While loop is used until you want to execute until the condition is met. That is the difference. Two different uses. For loop, I'll repeat again. Okay. While loop is used when you want certain condition, when you want to execute these statements hundreds and thousands of times until this condition is met. It could be 100 times, it could be 1000 times, it could be infinite times. Until this condition is met, you want to execute. That is when you use a while loop. Okay.
Okay.
For loop is used when you have a range, when you have certain list or string or tuple, where you have some collection type, and you want to perform certain operations on that collection type. That is when for loop is used. Okay, understood?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So if you don't have any doubts anymore, so now let's look at loop controls. Okay. Now the behavior of these loops can be controlled using continue, break, and pass. These three elements we can use to control the behavior, and that I will show you now. Very, very easy actually. So let's just say you had this for loop, okay, for letter in good morning. You have this letter is equal to letter plus some star. Letter is equal to, okay, I will add some stars before also. Okay, and then I will print letter. Print. This is my very simple for loop. Now, if I add continue, let's just say, I want to modify the behavior. Okay, let's just say I want to modify the behavior based on a condition. I will say, now I will say, if letter equals to O, then what you do is stop printing, but you continue. Okay, let me execute. Yes, print should be before let continue. Yeah, that's because it's O. No, why is it coming as O? Yeah, for letter in good morning. Okay, I will remove this fancy part also. If letter equals to O, print letter. Okay. Okay. So here I will type break. Here I will type pass. Okay. Interesting. So I will do one thing. I will modify for letter in good morning. If letter equals to O, okay, continue, and then print current letter. Okay, so I think I will modify slightly. Um, then I will print the current letter. Okay, fine. So here I will modify the same thing. Okay, same behavior I will modify here. All right. See, now imagine you are doing some charity work of distributing biscuits to a queue of members, queue of people who are coming. Now, if you want to distribute the biscuits only to kids, but in the queue there are adults also, some 2 3 adults are there. So first will be a child you will distribute, second will be a child. Now as soon as that sorry, first will be a child. Now as soon as that condition is met that you should not distribute the biscuits to adults, okay, you will stop, you won't distribute, instead you will skip them. Okay, continue is used to skip this condition. Wherever this condition is met, that part will be skipped. That is when where continue is used. So what is happening, I have provided the letter as O. Wherever for first letter it printed, okay, wherever the letter was O, it skipped those, and then it printed morning. For O again it skipped and printed the rest. So basically continue, what it is used to do is, it is used to return back the control. Okay, by continue statement returns back the control to the beginning of the loop. Okay, so continue based on a condition, wherever the condition is met it will skip that part and execute the rest of the elements. Did you understand this?
Yes,
Yes,
Sadiq.
Sadhu.
Can you first what is a condition before modifying?
Condition is wherever the letter is O. In the word good morning, wherever the letter is O, we are saying don't execute that, execute rest of the things.
Okay.
In
No,
order.
before that,
Mhm.
you have passed you have take letter O. That then it is only passing O letter two times
No.
before modifying.
Before modifying this, is it? No, that I
Yes.
had written incorrectly. So that I was printing inside. Okay, I will show you what I had written. So what
Hmm.
now I am printing, what this code is doing is, it is letting the continue to skip that condition and print rest of the things. But
You're right.
previously what I wrote
Hmm.
was I was printing what was happening inside continue. So okay, I'll show you. So these two are opposite to each other. These two codes are opposite to each other. Here we are
Hmm.
printing, what we are printing is what is not happening inside continue. What is not happening inside this continue is what we are printing. Outside continue, what is happening, that we have printed. Here we have printed what is continue doing. Continue is skipping these three O's. In the word good morning, continue is
Hmm.
skipping these three O's, first two O and the third O. That is what we have printed here, because print statement is inside that condition. Here I have kept that print statement outside the condition to print, to demonstrate what can be the end result if continue uh, does its work. I mean, it skips triple O and rest of the thing we are printing. But ultimately, if you wanna know what continue is doing is, it is skipping these O's. Wherever O comes, these O's are being skipped. Only the end result would be good morning. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So likewise, break. Now break, what it does is wherever the condition is met, it will stop immediately. If the condition is met, it will stop. First, it checked if the letter is G, condition was not met, it printed. Now condition immediately is met, it will stop immediately. Okay, that is what break does. Continue means it will skip the condition. Break means it will stop at that condition. Now pass means it will allow everybody, basically. Okay, it will not honor this condition. Instead, it will allow you to print everything. See, that is what is happening.
Sadiq, here one question I just wanted to
Yeah,
ask you.
yeah.
Okay, see, in continue, right?
Mm-hmm,
Now you have assigned the word as zero, the
mm-hmm,
alphabet as zero.
mm-hmm,
Okay, and if you want to omit R also, with
okay.
zero, if you want to omit R also, we can do it.
Yeah, you can add a R condition. R letter equals to R. Okay. Now see, R is gone from here. If I add the same condition here, okay, and see, R will also come here. What is being skipped is being shown here. What you will get after skipping is what is being shown here. That is the difference. What is being shown here is outside the continue. What is being shown here is inside the continue. R is getting skipped now, which you can see here. Likewise, break also can do the same thing. Wherever letter O is R, you can add the letter R, break it. But because letter O is coming before only, it will break it. It won't even go to R. Okay. But if you didn't have this letter O, you want to break at letter R, okay, that also is possible. See, it will print good, MO, and then at R, exactly at R, it will stop because the condition is met. This pass is different. Pass will allow, irrespective of the condition, it will pass or will allow you to print. Is this clear?
Yes,
Yes,
Sadiq.
Sadiq. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So these are the three different ways you can control the behavior of the loops. And this applies for loop, while loop also is exactly the same thing. You do the you add the continue in the while loop, you will get the same result. So if we had this example, right? So here, if you add, so let's just say if I execute this, I'm getting this part, right? But here what I will do is I will simply say continue. Continue, it allowed everything because that condition was not met. Now the condition is met, it anyway has stopped. Okay. um, Here also it will, I think it will do the same thing, because condition is not met, right? Only after condition is met. Okay, okay, fine. So it broke it the very first time. So I is less than 3. That was the condition. We are checking if I is less than 3. As soon as I is less than 3, it will stop. Okay. That's why it stopped at the very first point. Pass will allow you to print everything irrespective of what it is. Here continue, what it is doing is it will not allow the condition Except the condition, it will allow everything. That's what it is doing here, right? So you compare it with this one. Wherever the letter O or R is there, it will skip it. Rest everything it will do. Okay, that is continue. And compare that with this continue. The condition is skipped. That condition is meeting. That's why it is being skipped. Now if I make a very slight change, if I increase, if I ask you to check I greater than X, now see, it stopped at the very first point. You understanding? Are you following me? If this is confusing, don't worry about it, but just remember that continue is used to return the control back to the loop by skipping that condition, by omitting the execution of the condition. Okay, here condition, here execution is stopped when condition is met. Okay, here for pass, condition is not honored. I mean, as in, condition is, even though there is condition, irrespective of the condition, everything will execution is done. So that is the difference. Okay. All right, so if this is understood, then we are in good shape. Tomorrow